Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org. Author, Eye of the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole, King Deal, Lord Frey, Grim Clover, Internet Bloodsports, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. So, GTA was always woke. Grand Theft Auto is a video game franchise about criminals going around committing crimes and glamorizing it and just being promoting unhinged unwarranted violence on the population and on the police. It's basically a Black Lives Matter simulator, right? You're going around just killing people. And it's amusing on a surface level to just be like, oh, look at all this crazy, messed up stuff I'm doing. But like, when you're like me, and really put a lot of time into like thinking about games critically, entertainment seriously, thinking about like the ramifications, the implications that this world, this society, kind of demonstrates. You kind of do understand eventually. This has been something I've been feeling since Grand Theft Auto came out, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, or perhaps even a little bit earlier. It Grand Theft Auto really does come off like an extremely anti-American franchise with its depiction of American life, American culture, American people, and just the things it chooses to emphasize. And it comes off as extremely shallow and trite as a result, increasingly so as the games have gone on. I've gone on record saying the games have been like on a very steady downward spiral since like San Andreas. I doubt that even the older games are any good or relevant. I certainly don't see anyone like really talking about Grand Theft Auto 1, 2, 1 or 2 at all. And 3, I would say, the PS2 games, other than San Andreas, are have become relatively obscure. But San Andreas, 4, 5, like they all push this ridiculous notion onto the population that there's something wrong about America. There's something wrong about this culture, and it's one of those brainwashing, all-encompassing things that make me think that really made me feel like this is an extremely woke franchise, right? And seeing where they're going now with Grand Theft Auto 6, like, oh man, they're gonna have a female protagonist. Like, well, what were you expecting? Like, really, I don't understand why people are upset about this because for me personally, my issue with Grand Theft Auto has always been that the games aren't good. The games have never been good. They don't offer compelling gameplay. They don't offer any interesting incentives to explore the world. They don't have compelling characters or stories or ideas. There's just nothing to them. They are shallow as fuck. And seeing the backlash of this, um, I think I do think there is going to be a subset of the gaming population that is going to start criticizing Grand Theft Auto. Well deserved. Very. It's been too long coming, but it does kind of feel like the beginnings of Grand Theft Auto being accepted as being not like the best thing ever are finally coming to fruition. So with all the employees getting fucked and all the real talent leaving and all these major changes that are happening at Rockstar, I hope that Grand Theft Auto 6 will generally speaking be seen as like a lesser entry than previous installments in the series. I'm almost certain it will be at this point because we've kind of seen this pattern with these big AAA companies in that like they can't maintain their popularity, right? There's no reason to assume that the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be on the same level of popularity as Skyrim, right? Because it's not going to have like any real notable improvements. There's not going to be any real changes. There's not going to be any real improvements. Like if anything, everything is going to decline in quality, right? They're going to have to lower the quality in order to appeal to the widest popular demographic. Like we've seen how this happened with Fallout 4, right? Where they trivialize the conversation system in order to create this story that could be appealing to normies. And in the end, they created something that wasn't appealing to anyone, right? That's the big problem with these big AAA games. They're in attempting to appeal to the lowest common denominator, they're appealing to no one. And I think Grand Theft Auto, the king of the mountain of shit that is appealing to the lowest common denominator. I do think in this sense, the decisions they've been making, like talking about like being overly political, the how they handled Red Dead Redemption 2 with like the the extremely far left cowboys and like promoting things like that, they are beginning to alienate their core audience. And I think with time that's going to trickle into like actual sales. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to see a Star Wars style backlash where like it's severely impacting their brand and like sales like seriously start to accrue. I have like no expectations for the Grand Theft Auto fan base, right? Like I have zero hope for them. Like if they had even a single IQ point, they would have switched over to Nintendo a long time ago, right? They would have stopped playing Grand Theft Auto like I did, right? Someone like me who discovered Grand Theft Auto, played it and kind of realized that, this is pretty shit. I'd rather talk to a fucking girl. Like, that was my experience playing Grand Theft Auto. Like, there was nothing amusing about it. There was nothing fun. There was nothing that, like, kept me coming back or, like, other than, like, being a thing that was heavily promoted to me in my youth. Like, there's nothing appealing about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas or 4 to me, right? So much so that, like, when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, September 15th, 2013, I played the wonderful 101 instead. Like, fuck Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, I walked out of that GameStop with the wonderful 101. And you know what? That was a purchase worth making, right? That was something that I wanted, and a purchase I will never regret, right? Like I still to this day have do not own Grand Theft Auto 5, and honestly, I don't think I ever will. And I feel like with more and more video game companies, making games like Grand Theft Auto with the open world, with the crime aesthetic, with the focus on like different aspects, I do think it's going to stop being as appealing to people because there are plenty of games that do this idea better, right? Sleeping Dogs, Yakuza, Xenoblade Chronicles, like Breath of the Wild, like better even Skyrim. I think I have more respect for than fucking Grand Theft Auto at this point, right? Like there is no appeal to Grand Theft Auto. There's nothing that it does that other games don't do a million times better. And the problem fundamentally is that the audience just doesn't accept that. The audience doesn't play games. They don't know anything about the wider world of games. They don't even try. They don't even care to know. All they care about is killing that hooker they just banged and taking their money back. That is the Grand Theft Auto audience. That's who we're talking about. That is the people who will slam down $60, $70 for this new title of the series. These people are pathetic, and I'm kind of tired of pretending they're not.